Hello everyone and welcome. Today is September 18th, 2011. My name is Silverfish and you're watching Overgrowth Weekly number 40. So number 40 is quite a magical number. It's getting quite high actually. It's 52 or 54 weeks or something like that in a year, so we're getting close to the 1 year anniversary of Overgrowth Weekly. But before that, actually it's the 3-year anniversary of Overgrowth that happened yesterday. So yesterday it was exactly 3 years since Overgrowth was announced. So that's actually a very cool thing. I'm going to have a bit of a special thing about that at the end of the show, so look forward to that. And other than that, we have 2 new mods updated, one new kind of mod showcased, but it's not really there. You'll see what I mean later. And we have one new level this week. And of course there are a bunch of tweets and an artist overview as well. So you have that to look forward to as well. But before we go into this all stuff, we're going to take a look at the latest alpha, which is alpha 148. So last week they added the fur fins, if you remember. It's basically a special method they use to render fur on characters, which was pretty smart. But this week apparently there was a problem with the fur fin shadows, and that was fixed. This was something that I didn't see myself, but I mean, fixed problems are always good, so I'm happy. Yay! And then we have an updated SDL and recast libraries. Okay, I should probably mention as well that there was no video this week. That's quite important. They have videos almost every week, but this week there were so many changes that a video couldn't demonstrate anyway. So yeah, mostly under the hood changes this week. But there will be like one change that I will show you guys. So yeah. There you go. Yeah, updated SDL and recast libraries. These are programming libraries. Yeah, you won't know that it has actually been updated, but it makes David's work easier because he hopefully gets a more updated version of his tools. So that's good. Good. And then we have a modified SDL DLL to handle full screen alt tab better. He actually posted a tweet about this a while ago, where apparently the SDL is a library as well, as you can see. And apparently it didn't handle alt tabbing as it was supposed to, so I don't know if it crashed or something like that. But anyways, oh right, it didn't crash. It made it so that when you alt tabbed, if the game was full screened, your mouse cursor would be like locked to the top left of your computer monitor. And you wouldn't be able to move it. You would need to tab into the game and exit the game to release the mouse from that position. And with this new DLL, he fixes that problem apparently. It was a modified DLL. So that's good. And then cap the loading screen to 60 FPS, which also is very good, because I remember back in the beta for StarCraft 2. So I was in the beta for StarCraft 2, and they had this thing in the menu screen of that game where the FPS of the menu was rendered too quickly. So instead of rendering the menu at like 60 FPS or something like that, they rendered it at as quickly as possible, as quickly as your graphics card could handle. So it might have rendered the menu screen at like 1000 FPS or something. And I mean, the menu screen in a game like StarCraft 2, it's a place where you just hang out. You can hang out there and chat with your friends and stuff like that. So a lot of people's graphics cards just stopped working because they just burned out because they became too hot for the cooling to be able to handle. And we wouldn't want anything like that to happen to Overgrowth, so it's very good that he caps the loading screen FPS to 60. And then we have AI less affected by slopes for better pathfinding. The pathfinding for Overgrowth has been working for a long time, but it has been very bad. It has been, in some situations, it just didn't work. For example, if you have let me actually do a little quick test scenario for you here. So if we load an item, I'm just going to load the normal crete block, and then we just duplicate that to the side like so, and then we lean it like that and put it in a position like so. If we were to put this guy over here and a spear, because these guys love spears, I would need to calculate the pathfinding, by the way, for this to work properly, and that can take a little while, so I'm not going to do that. And this spear is here, so this guy is here and this spear is there, and he wants to get that spear. Then he would run up here to this spot, and then he would be like, I can run up this this little wall here, and he would just stand there. He would just get stuck on this wall, kind of like that, just standing there. He would think he would be able to run up here, but obviously that's too steep for him to be able to run up. And that is basically the biggest problem of the pathfinding right now, at least in my opinion. And I think he made it so that the AI can actually walk up steeper slopes. Well, it wasn't enough, because I tested it and this problem is still there. I didn't sense any difference at all. So more work needs to be done here, and I hope he will do that. I mean, he obviously will do that, but I hope he will do that quite soon, because, yeah, good pathfinding is always good. So it's better, hopefully, but still not quite good enough, in my opinion. Then we have simplified shadow catching for distant objects. I just have no idea what this is. Well, obviously it's simplified shadow catching for distant objects, but I mean, when and where? I just don't know. Sorry, guys. Then we have enemies notice player movement even when not in attack mode. I think this might be just a code change, so that in the code they can notice the enemy player movement when they aren't in attack mode. It might be a gameplay thing as well, where they actually notice player movement now and react on it when not in attack mode, but I don't see what they would react on if they're not in attack mode, because right now they either do not attack the player and just stand there, or they attack the player, which means they run after the player and hit him as quickly as they can. So if they're not in attack mode, then why would they do anything if they notice the player is moving? I don't know if that made sense, but yeah. Anyways, it's good. It's good. And then we have weapon combat collisions change based on material type. And this is this thing that I'm going to change, that I'm going to show you. I'm not going to change you it. So we have two guys. Let me actually put this guy right over there, so you can pick that weapon up, and we'll restart again. And they will fight. And there you heard the ding sound when they hit with the... I think it's actually depending on where they hit with the weapon. So they hit with both of the metal part of the weapon. And then let's say there they hit on the wood part, it says pang pang, like more like a woody sound. So that's actually very cool. I am actually quite impressed by that you're able to do something like that. Like determine that, okay, this part is made of metal, this part is made of metal. If these two parts collide, then make a metal sound. If not, then make the wood sound. So that's going to add a lot to the game. Oh, my holy lord. Okay, goodbye spear, I guess. So, that's the end of the changelog for this week, for this week's alpha. And yeah, not a lot to show this week, a lot of under the hood stuff. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. And this under the hood stuff is going to mean that next week we're probably going to have something above the hood, things that we can see. So look forward to that. That's going to be awesome. And before I move on, I should also mention, because I just remember that I forgot, that Antone is of course not here today. He had other things to do, and such is life, I guess. Luckily, I have made it so that basically my only project I have left besides school right now is Overgrowth Weekly, so I should be able to handle Overgrowth Weekly myself. You don't need to worry about that. But Antone has his real life outside of Overgrowth Weekly, unlike me. So it is to be expected that he cannot attend every show. But when he does attend, oh, it becomes so much more awesome. So next, we move into the community segment, and first up we have of course the Fanart Watch. And I'm going to start out here. The Fanart Watch is quite short this week, but I'm going to start out by showing something. I know there was something I was going to show, but I don't quite... Alright, here. So Corbane says, is this deserving of a fanart post? I think so. And then he posts a Wikipedia link, and he wants to point out this last sentence right here. Under the parkour and popular culture on Wikipedia, he added, Overgrowth is another game that incorporates parkour at the core of its design and gameplay. And that is indeed art. In my eyes, very art stuff. No, but really though, it's very cool stuff. Even though it might not really belong in the Fanart Watch, it doesn't really belong in its own thread either, so I think this is fine. So good stuff, Corbane. It's very good to spread Overgrowth in various Wikipedia articles, if it's relevant, of course. So, I don't know. Search for, I don't know, anthropomorphism or something, and Overgrowth can be in there and stuff like that. Go for it. Spread the Overgrowth. It's going to be great. And then we have this one picture, which is basically the only picture in this whole Fanart Watch. This image is made by a guy called Fidshell on the Wolfire community. He says, hey guys, I did a quick painting of Turner, tell me what you think, happy face. And some people says it talks about the shape of the face. It looks a bit dog-like, actually. That's my opinion, at least. And his ears look a bit short as well. People have already pointed this out to him, so it's kind of redundant for me to do this as well. But other than those faults that I can see, I think the shading is pretty good. It could be a bit brighter on the darkness, so not quite as dark. It's actually very dark in the darkness, so that should be probably a bit brighter. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, of course. And other than that, I like the fur. The fur looks really cool. And the glossiness of the eyes looks very cool as well. That's very well done. The eyes in general look very cool. So that's a drawing of Turner, actually, by Fidshell. So, well done, Fidshell. And then beyond that, they had like, yeah, some quite interesting discussions in the Fanart thread. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you can check that out. Someone posted a link to actually an image showing how you might want to draw the head of a rabbit, as you can see right here. So that could be very interesting for people doing fan art. And that's actually the end of the Fanart Watch, and you guys need to actually get your act together and do some more fan art now again. I'm telling you, like every episode now, but do more fan art, because one this week, next week we have nothing currently, of course, because I take everything every week. So you should probably want to get on that fan art, man, if you're thinking about it. And that's it for the Fanart Watch. Let us move on into a mod made by Max12230. So this mod isn't actually a mod per se, because it isn't actually working. So he says, I've been working on a little mod for different levels of slow motion and have made some decent progress. And here's an example. So this is a user interface for changing how the slow motion in the game should work. But he says, as of now though, I am actually having to halt this mod due to it being not possible with the AngelScript system as it is. But hopefully in the future it will be usable. I want to be able to create a thread for it and label it as in progress/halted. So yeah, I hope to see this mod finished sometime in the future. It's these kinds of mods that are going to be the really cool mods in Overgrowth later, where you can like change stuff around. Imagine having a whole menu where you can just change stuff in Overgrowth without having to touch the script at all. Like, she just type in the character speed and type in, you know, how high you should be able to jump and stuff like that. That's going to be awesome to play around with. So yeah, this is the motion UI mod made by Max12230. So hopefully we'll see that finished in the future. And by the way, Max, welcome to the forums as well. Nice job. Someone mentioned that I should finish my fan art for the Fanart Watch, and I still have it on the back burner. Maybe I'll get to it this week, actually. I don't have anything to do until Tuesday, so tomorrow would be a good day to finish that. So here's my promise to finish or maybe not finished, but depending on how long it takes. I'm going to work very hard on my fan art tomorrow, so look forward to a stream on that, which I will of course also be uploading to YouTube if you're watching this in the archives. And next we have another mod made by Last this time. Last of course have been contributing like a boss to the Overgrowth community, both by mods and updating his old mods, like this tab mod, it's an updated old mod, and his blood mod, which we'll get to later, and loads of levels and stuff like that. So we all love Last a lot here in the Wolfire community, and so this mod is an update to the O2 tab in the item spawner. So there is like 16 new objects in there, or if you didn't have my last update, you should have at least 57 new objects in there. Objects like baskets and signs, some arena stuff, shop items and umbrellas, of course, pots. And he added the alpha 148 objects as well. So let me show you this thing he did. This is, I've said it before, but I can say it again. If you're mapping for Overgrowth, this mod is super duper awesome. It's so awesome that the Wolfire guys added this mod to the release of the Overgrowth alphas. Normally you only have the objects tab here, which is not very big, you know, you have these objects here, but there are actually a load of more objects in the game. It's just that to get to them, you need to press this folder button and find the object file for the object and load it that way. But what Lance has done is he created this new tab here called O2, and of course this tab is by default in the alphas now, since the Wolfire team added this mod to the game. But now he has updated it with the newer objects that have been added, and I'm going to show you some of these. Most notably, I think it's this one, and maybe this one. These cats that you can now take a very much closer look at. They're so awesome. And of course there are loads of new objects like the, let's see, if you haven't seen this one before, there's so much here. So if you're a mapper, this mod will give you loads of stuff to work with. So instead of having to, I wonder what the bomb pot looks like, load it in the external object, click it out and be like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I wonder what the coffee pot looks like, and finding it in the object bar. So you can just look at the image and now you see, you can just find the pot you want, or if you want a basket, you can find this. This basket looks really cool, by the way. I really love these. So yeah, loads of really cool stuff in this O2 tab. So if you're a mapper or just want to check out the stuff that is in Overgrowth now, try to find some stuff that you haven't seen before, this mod is for you. So thank you Last for that. And then we have a level made by Last as well. And that is actually the level that I am on in the game right now. So, see, he says, this is actually a level that he showed off earlier in the Project Show thread. We showed this last week where he did recreations. I think it was last week, might have been the week before that. He did it was probably in the fan art thread, of course. He did recreations of two concept art pictures made by Aubrey, which is the official dude who makes all the art for Overgrowth. And he released this level, so I added, of course, some stuff. I added these weapons and these things right here, right now. But let's take a look at this. So you probably remember this one, this scene right here, where there's this stair leading up to, and these are actually graves, if I remember correctly, reading a long time ago about the dogs having these poles instead of gravestones. And now you can actually walk around in this concept art made by Aubrey, so that's really cool. And over here, if you fly, you can see this piece as well. It was kind of from this angle or something like that. So that's also cool to look at. And then he has this other one that I haven't seen before, actually. I don't know if this is from some concept art. It kind of feels familiar, but yeah, here it is anyways. Either way. So that's kind of cool. Something new as well. And here you have the cat throne at the top for the cats. Awesome stuff. So yeah, this is basically a just a art map for Overgrowth. Just cool to look at. So yeah, take a look if you want to. If you don't, just don't, man. Don't complain about it. Holy crap. So, next, actually that's the end of the community segment. Now we're going into the community side notes segment, where we take a look at some recurring things in the community, which I don't really have too much to say about, but we should mention them anyways because they're awesome. And this brings us, of course, to the blood mod made by Last. He just keeps updating this blood mod, and I have no idea how he can just do this every week, but well done, man. This is obviously has already been downloaded 9 times. It averages around 10 downloads every week, so apparently people like this mod. It adds more blood to the game even when you're not using weapons. So if you like that kind of stuff, if you're following Overgrowth, I have a hard time imagining that you do not like lots of blood. So yeah, check this mod out. Available in the secret pre-order forum. Through this link right here, of course. And next we have the dev tool, or a dev tool I should say. It's the script dump made by Learn More, the weekly script dump. Every week Learn More takes a dump and out comes script. It's like rows of script. I don't know what it is. It's pretty crazy, but it allows developers of Overgrowth, scripters, to take a look at what they can do in the scripting language. So it gives them something to look at if they're like, oh, I wonder if I can change the color of a character and what's the function for that. They can just look it up in this script download that he has right there. So that's very useful for scripters, for modders of Overgrowth. So take a look at that if you are interested. And that's the end of the community side notes segment, and next we have the news segment. First up we have a blog post. By the way, actually, Kalast says that pyramid thing that was shown in this level right here, right there, it's from a from the Overgrowth comic. He says it's from page 2 or 3 or something like that. So this is a recreation from the Overgrowth comic. Just thought I'd throw that in there. As I was saying, blog. So art asset overview number 21. This is a not really weekly thing from Aubrey, but he does it now and then, a art asset overview where he shows some of the process that he goes through to create some of the art for Overgrowth. So this week he says he worked on the cat model for Overgrowth, and he practiced his 2D art, and that is what we're going to take a look at this week. It's a time-lapse video of Aubrey doing some amazing art for Overgrowth. So let's take a look.
Welcome to the Overgrowth Art Asset Overview. This week I'm going to look a little bit at 2D painting technique. I've had a sinking feeling for a while that maybe I wasn't doing things as well as I could be. I'm pretty happy with how my art looks most of the time, but over the last few months I've noticed that there's some problems with how I do the lighting in my paintings. So here you can see that I've used a shortcut that I haven't really used very many times before, which is using a photograph of, in this case, of Kalaloch, a beach on the coast of Washington State. And what's good about using a photo is that right away you can get a lot of colors and values for objects in the scene. In the painting here you might think, oh, I'm just painting in grayscale, but there's a lot of subtle color variation that you get from using the color picker that's not immediately apparent, so some browns from the sand or some blues from the sky. and it makes a big difference. Another thing that I was doing differently on this painting, which was kind of a big deal, is that I'm using texture brushes. And in the past I haven't really liked using texture brushes. Some artists swear by them, and I think that sometimes they're a little bit overused. Another problem I have with them is that when you're working on very fine details, sometimes they can make it look a little bit muddy or weird. So I solved that second problem by working at twice my normal resolution. So this image I was working on at 6400 by 4000 pixels. So the great thing about using a texture brush is that it does a lot of the work for you and helps the painting look more complete earlier on. I think you can see that here, where it's not really clear where the individual brush strokes are, which helps a lot with the overall look. One problem with using such a huge resolution and texture brushes is that sometimes it can slow your computer down. So you'll notice that for almost this entire painting I'm using only one layer, and that helps keep the painting process really fast. Using one layer is actually a very common technique. When I first started using Photoshop, sometimes I would have 100 or over 100 layers in my PSD, but now I'm pretty comfortable using just a few. As some of you may have noticed, this is Janner from the comic. This picture will probably make a lot more sense after you read the upcoming comic update, which I still haven't finished yet and still have a ways to go on, but it's still coming along, so stay tuned to that. Here's the finished image. Of course, I've also been working on the cat models. I finished up the details on this model, adding eyes, claws, and teeth, and finished up the base textures, and then I did some texture variations, which you can see here. I would still like to do some different body types for the cats, and a lot more texture variations and some different outfits, just to add to the variety. The cats obviously have a lot of different outfits that they need, so that it's not obvious that they're being repeated over and over again. Welcome to the Overgrowth Art Asset Overview. This week I'm going to look a little bit at 2D.
I'm not sure what happened there, but it kinda cut off, didn't it?
That they're being variety. The cats obviously have a lot of different outfits that they need, so that it's not obvious that they're being repeated over and over again.
Oh, it's just the sound that cuts off at the end, so there's something wrong with the video. But anyways, so this week's art asset overview was almost exclusively a not a speed drawing. People get this mixed up. It's kind of annoying when people mix up speed drawing and or speed painting and time-lapse drawing, because a speed painting is when you actually draw quickly, and a time-lapse is when you draw normally and then you speed it up afterwards, so it looks fast like he did here. So yes, this was a time-lapse drawing, folks, and yeah, he talks basically about texture brushes and lighting. So the lighting in his images and the lighting is in his images has he kind of didn't like it apparently, but he looked at this guy called Ilya Repin for inspiration, and he came up with some new idea apparently. Well, you watched the video, so I don't need to go through it too closely. But about the texture brushes thing that he mentions, I kind of agree that texture brushes are often overused, and therefore I do not use them, because yeah, they're just overused often, so it makes the image look very very bad. It just makes the image look bad. And when I started drawing, I actually looked at Aubrey as a great source of inspiration, because he didn't use any texture brushes and he made his stuff look super awesome anyways. So that kind of worries me, but it's not like he's using these texture brushes to create, you know, just to give a general texture to the ground or something like that. Often he just uses it instead of a normal round hard brush or soft brush. He uses a bit of texture on the brush to make it look a bit more natural. So I think that's fine, and that's something that I might look into doing actually. So that's kind of interesting. And then towards the end, he shows off some awesome cats. Let's see, especially the cat at the right there, if you notice. It's actually blue and yellow. And if we take a look at the Swedish flag for a moment, the Swedish flag right there, you may notice that it is also blue and yellow. So go blue and yellow cat, go Swedish cat, go Sweden, yeah. Yeah, Sweden. Yeah, seriously though, that cat is awesome. So that was the art asset overview for this week. I hope we will see more of them soon, but yeah, I guess we'll have to just wait until that happens. Because every time I see an art asset overview, I get all jiggly and I just want to watch it as quickly as possible. Actually, I watched this week's art asset overview in school, where they don't have any speakers for the computers. So I watched it without sound, and then when I got home, I watched it again with sound, and then I watched it again like an hour later, and then I watched it again like the next day. So I love the art asset overviews. Thanks, Aubrey. So next we have a kind of thing that I just noticed. I don't know if they actually talked about this sometime, but we have an updated pre-order page. It might have been there for like several months and I've just missed it, or we might have talked about it before on Overgrowth Weekly, and my memory is just super duper bad. But they have this pre-order page and it looks awesome now anyways. And that's basically all I have to say about it. People complained about that they thought they would be getting a Linux version when they pre-ordered the game. And now they are kind of showing that there's a Windows logo and there's a Mac logo and no Linux Penguin logo right there, which there would be if there was a Linux version available of the game right now. And we'll get to that later. There will be a Linux version. We'll get to that. We will get to that later in this episode. You'll have some more info about that. So yeah, cool pre-order page is cool. Nice stuff. Next, we have the big Linux update. Yes, indeed, folks. The big Linux update. Here's some more info on the pre-announcements. So last week they announced that there would be an announcement quite soon. And here we have some some information on the announcement that will be coming quite soon. So Ryan Gordon, also known as Iculus, the guy who was supposed to be porting Overgrowth to Linux. He ported, if I remember, I think he ported Luguri to Linux, and he's helped port the Humble Indie Bundle games to Linux. And he's ported loads of other very, very well-known games, like AAA titles. I think he ported games like Doom and stuff like that. So he's ported lots of cool stuff to Linux. And yeah, he's apparently got a lot of stuff to do, and Overgrowth isn't really high priority because, you know, it isn't really released yet, so obviously that is going to be lower priority than a game that's supposed to be released in like a month and needs a Linux release as quickly as possible, you know. But they did find another guy that can port to Linux. Who would know that there would be more than one guy that can port stuff to Linux? I mean, that's what we've been asking ourselves in this Linux thread for quite a while, but yeah, apparently they found another guy that can port it to Linux, so hopefully they should have the real announcement soon, and from there they should be able to get a feed of teaser screenshots, etc., until Linux gets permanently added as an official supported platform to the alpha builds. and the only thing they need to do is to sign some paperwork. So we don't know who this guy is, but as soon as they have signed the papers, I'm sure they will make a blog post about this, and things are going to get awesome. So I'm really looking forward to this. I am not actually a big user of Linux, but I really like the idea of Linux, and if I could use Linux all the time, I would, but since all I do is basically play video games and develop stuff like code stuff and, yeah, stuff for video games, being on Linux doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, so that's unfortunate, but yeah. I just want everything to be made for Linux, and then hopefully in the future when I get 40 or something, I can switch to Linux full time, and things will be amazing. Yeah, future visions. So that's the big Linux update. I'm very excited about that. That's going to be sweet. Next we have a tweet. We have a bunch of tweets. We have first procedural shuffling. Added some procedural shuffling so the characters can make small movements without breaking their stance. This is something that's going to be super awesome as well. I'm really looking forward to how he's going to solve this and how it's going to actually look in the game. That is almost certainly something that we will see next week's alpha, which is currently in like 2 days or something like that. So very exciting stuff. Next we have another tweet. AI reaction time, adding a delay between when AI characters notice something and when they actually start attacking. Which is good. Makes the game feel more real when the AI doesn't instantly do something when they see it. I think it would be really cool if they add something that, like, if they hear something, they need to first see it before they react on it, if you know what I mean. So if they hear something, they turn around, and then it takes like half a second or something before they actually do something when they have seen it. So I think that would, you know, if they added some kind of natural progression like that, that would be kind of cool. But we'll see what he'll be doing with this. I'm sure he'll be doing some really cool stuff because, you know, David is David, as I always say. Actually, I think that's the first time I've ever said that. So, yeah, there's a lie right there. Next we have another tweet, sound travel distance. So added more precise control over how far sound travels, so it'll be easier to adjust stealth mechanics. Yeah, of course, good stuff. Good stuff to have control over how far sound travels. Because they're currently in the alphas, there really are no actual stealth mechanics, because you cannot stealth kill an enemy. Even if you're sneaking, when you get close to an enemy, he will hear your sneaking footsteps, your little sneaking tapping. So he will turn around and smack you in the face if you try to sneak up on him. Like you should be, the bad boy you are. But soon we will hopefully be able to break the opponent's backs, as we should be able to. So that's good. That's good. And next up we have this super cool one. Overgrowth is 3 years old. Yesterday it was 3 years since Overgrowth was first announced to the world. So that is of course something really, really exciting. You know, Overgrowth has been going for a very long time, and yeah, I have kind of a retrospect, I think it's called. I'm not very good at English, but I think that's what it is. It's a look back at the history of Overgrowth and what has happened. At least a small look back. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look. So here is the post from the blog announcing Overgrowth. Overgrowth is the new Luger 2. Overgrowth was actually called Luger 2 for a very long time before he started working on it full time. He worked on Luger 2, and then when he realized that, okay, this isn't very good, and I learned a lot of stuff, so I'm going to just scrap Luger 2 and start Overgrowth. And so he did. And they had their website and all that stuff. Posting works, SDF, so that's good, I guess. And I'm like, awesome, when can I pre-order it? And I get no answer, but yeah. So, yeah, that was on the 17th of September. Today is the 18th of September, so that was just today. And of course, I guess almost, well, a lot of you guys, I'm pretty sure, remember this video right here that I'm going to hopefully be able to show you. Hopefully. Oh, right, I think I actually paused that, so let's try that again. There we go. This blood video. This was the one of the first videos shown of Overgrowth. It was just one of the biggest videos. It was one of those videos that people saw and they were like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then they found out about the Overgrowth and then they came to the forums. I guess this video had like loads of views. Yeah, Bjartensen says in the chat right now, I remember with big letters, first video I saw. And Sai's like, oh yeah, that blood. People remember this video. This was an amazing video. I remember this one as well. One of the first ones. Super duper cool stuff. And then on November 25th, 2008, they announced the weekly alphas. And this was, of course, a very, very big day for Overgrowth, because the weekly alphas is kind of defining for Overgrowth. I don't know of any other developer that actually does weekly alphas like this. I mean, I'm sure there are people who have SVNs and stuff like that, but weekly alphas, man. Weekly alphas. They're so awesome. Every week you get some awesome new features to play with, and every week you get that same thing where you're like, oh my god, new weekly alpha, I need to check out what's new. So that was awesome. And let's take a look at the comments. Oh, only 2 comments. I think most of the comments were in the actual SPF thread. Let's see, actually. Let's see, Wolfire, nah. Let's see, I wanted to see, it doesn't look like they have a link to the actual thread, so that's unfortunate, but yeah. Weekly alphas, man. Very, very cool. I love the weekly alphas. And then we actually have a very early video I want to show you guys. First up, we have the intro, the old intro. Wolfire Games. And then we have the splash screen for Overgrowth that was made a long time ago. Overgrowth, rat concept art time-lapse. And in the background you can hear the old version of the Overgrowth main theme. This was one of the first art time-lapse videos that Aubrey released, if I remember correctly. And this is so retro because just because of the classic main theme version. And I remember I watched this video so many times as well. So many times I watched this video. So that was that. I'm not going to stall on this for too long of a time. Next we have Overgrowth being, this is kind of a milestone actually, when Overgrowth became #1 on Google. Like when you search for Overgrowth on Google, Overgrowth the game was the first one up there. And this was on December 29th, 2008. So I think this is kind of a big milestone. This is when Overgrowth was big enough to be seen as bigger than Overgrowth syndrome definition, medical dictionary definitions. Yeah, so that's cool stuff. And then I have another video for you guys. Not that, I have another video for you guys. Which is, first we have the cool intro once again. Wolfire Games. They've kind of skipped the intros lately because they just realized that it just takes time basically. And here we have intro to procedural animation. And here we have Rabot. This video, oh my good lord, this video. I watched this video so many times as well. And you can notice the very old mountains this level has. This was the first terrain ever. This brings back so many memories. And there were only those 2 boxes over there were the only boxes. You couldn't add any more boxes. And first, you couldn't even move the boxes around. That was crazy, man. So here you can see the different stages of the procedural animation. Basically the birth of Rabbot. Sliding around. Sliding around. Running around. And he has legs. And since this was created, Rabbot has of course been replaced by a real model that got called that got named Robert. So that's Robert with 2 B's. Just to hint back at the old Rabbot days. And then you have this, and the jumping on this model, on this kind of, in this state of the animation system was very awesome. And here you can see the first real terrain in the game as well, and a very old alpha. And I played around with this. Can you imagine? I just ran around with this. You could barely add stuff. You could add like a simple box. That was basically the only item in there. And you could run around and jump around, and I played around with that for hours. Oh my god, that was awesome.
Alright, we are live.
And that we're not supposed to look at right now, but that's fine. Actually, we are supposed to look at that right now. Yes, indeed. So here we have some live music from Antone, actually. Well, it's not live, because... Oh, need to click. It used to be live.
Whatever
It
you
was
want.
live once upon a
You got
time, and
plenty
then
of
it was
footage.
recorded. So there you have
Whatever
your
intro you wanna
Antone,
put on
and
it.
he's going to
We're just gonna
play
shut up.
the Overgrowth main theme.
I'm Antone Real. This is the Overgrowth main theme.
And of course we're going to skip forward here a bit from December 29th, 2008 to March 1st, 2009. And between that, you know, loads of alpha builds were released, blog posts were made, loads of huge big blog posts, music tracks, you know, from the actual game fan art. They used to post lots of fan art on the blog when they had it so that they posted 1 blog post every day. Can you imagine? That was crazy. How could they post 1 blog post every day? I have no idea. They're so crazy, man. But back then they used to post some fan art, stuff like that. And of course they had the organic indie pre-order pack, etc. The blog was crazy. And then moving on, we jump to March 1st, 2009. Let's actually copy this link here so that I can show you what I'm talking about. And here you can see Overgrowth voted 5th best indie game on ModDB. So this is kind of a milestone as well. Overgrowth gets voted by the community of ModDB as the 5th best indie game available. Or well, not available, I guess. So this is kind of a big milestone. And if you jump forward even further to January 29th, 2010, lo and behold, Overgrowth, ModDB editor's choice for best upcoming indie game. Aw yeah, Overgrowth working its way up, and Aubrey made this awesome little drawing that they have there on their ModDB page ever since. And the ModDB page of Overgrowth in general is just super awesome. They have these... Actually, I contributed to this a lot. I was the one that introduced them to ModDB and all that, so that's cool. And yeah, actually, I edited Aubrey's thing so that this guy could be at the end and stuff like that, so I'm very proud of that. I didn't make any of this cool stuff though, like this thingy and... Yeah, but whatever, that's not important. They just have a super cool ModDB page that you should totally check out if you haven't already. And you can track them here, and as you can see, they post all their news here as well, so that's really, really cool. And let us see, so yeah, they won Editor's Choice for Best Upcoming Indie Game, so that's quite an achievement indeed. And then we skip forward to November 2nd, 2010. Overgrowth Weekly Alpha video. David posts the first alpha video for Overgrowth Weekly. Or what am I saying? For Overgrowth. The first weekly alpha video for Overgrowth. They actually didn't use the post alpha videos until alpha 130. What? 130? 103, I should say. I should not lie. I should not lie. Let's actually see if I can
That's pretty good. Alright,
jump forward to
you
that.
might know that every week they
There we
release
go.
an Overgrowth Alpha for all the pre-orders to play.
So this is the first Overgrowth
They
Alpha
give a
video, and
list
this
of all the features
marks a
added
very
in the
important
last week.
time in
However, I'd like to try
Overgrowth's
this week
development,
creating
in my
a
opinion,
video
because
to show off the new
these alpha
features.
videos have just brought
first
so
new
many
feature
people
is
in.
the
Like every
soft
time they added a
acting
new
modes.
cool feature,
This is
that video would
used for
become
secondary
super
animation
viral
for
and
soft parts like its
just
ears.
fall,
So if he starts
just it
running,
would just be
his
everywhere,
ears take a
and
while to
people would
catch up,
find
and when
Overgrowth
he
for the
stops,
first time
they
and
move
pre-order
forward
it
for a
and
little bit.
join the community. And I'm sure a lot of people have
Another
joined the
animation
community that
feature
way.
is the acceleration tilt for
And of
running.
course,
So when he starts running,
when
he
the
leans into
alphas
it,
start
he
becoming
stops,
bigger and
he leans
bigger,
back a little bit. When he
you know,
turns,
the
he leans into
downloads
it
start
too.
becoming bigger and bigger.
Really, he just
So
leans whenever he accelerates, and then he
yeah,
goes
at this time when they started
a lot
doing
more
the
work
alpha
to be done
videos,
running, but
the
this is
game
a good
was
start.
around
Another
500
change is I've
megabytes
re-added the
every week.
flip ragdoll wipeouts.
Right now it's
So
up
normally you do
to
a flip,
over a
you jump
gigabyte.
and
I'm
press
sure how much.
crouch.
I can
You
actually
jump and press left or right, crouch to do a different directional flip.
check that
But if you flip
out
at the wrong time,
just very quickly here. It looks like, yeah, 1.5 gigabytes right now,
you wipe out.
around there. So people started being like, I don't have the internet connection to download this every week.
Another
So these
change I've
alpha
made
videos
is
are a very
do
good way
very
for the
small
pre-orders and the non-pre-orders too as well
You still
to
do
actually
your
see what's
full
going on in
jump
the
by just
game.
holding the jump key down, but if you just tap it, you do a very small jump.
And then
Some
we
more
move
exciting
on
features
to
that
January
we
9th,
I
2010,
did a limited
and
mod for
we
anime,
come to
so you can
the first art asset overview. And the art asset overview, as I've said, is something that I really, really look forward to all the time. They bring me so much. I love Aubrey's stuff, and just having him show us the stuff that he's doing, it's just awesome. It's just awesome. I just love Aubrey and his art asset overviews. And then, of course, on December 19th, 2010, the first Overgrowth Weekly happened. December 19th, 2010. That's 40 weeks ago now. It's not too long until we have the 1-year anniversary of Overgrowth Weekly. I mean, sure, it's a couple of months, but it's September, and then it's October, November, and then it's December, so 3 months. Yeah, and it has been a bumpy ride. Well, from my view at least, it's been a bumpy ride. But it's been going quite well. I started out with 5 viewers on my first show, I remember. And it was just a test run where I showed off like Overgrowth and took questions, and then I showed some, you know, how you could like build stuff in the game and stuff like that, just general fooling around to test things out. And then I started doing the weekly thing, and I started announcing it on like ModDB. I announced it on the Wolfire forums and in the IRC, and then after a while I made Overgrowth ogweekly.com, and you know, things just went upward from there. And now I think I land at around 50 concurrent viewers or something like that, so yeah, progress, 50 viewers. But it doesn't matter how many viewers I get, because I love making these things, so whatever, you know. So that was a very, very brief look back at what's been going on with Overgrowth prior to the Overgrowth Weekly, and of course after that, and between all of these points that I have showed you, there has been some, you know, amazing stuff. There has been the Humble Indie bundles. There has been the OpenGL blog post that generated a huge thing across the entire web that brought lots of people to the Wolfire blog. And the sad times when they, for example, switched from posting every day to being like, really guys, we've been doing this for like a year now, and we're kind of running out of content, so we're gonna probably have to post maybe once or twice a week instead of every single day. You know, but they have been creating so much content over the years, so I just don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it, man, and they're doing it very, very well. And then, of course, they have been making Overgrowth, which is super awesome. So yeah, these guys of Wolfire, they're really awesome guys. So I'd like to thank Jeff, John, David, Aubrey, and Philip. And of course, congratulations to 3 years since you announced Overgrowth. It has been really, really awesome so far. And Wolfire would be nothing without its community, of course. So thanks everyone in the community. Thanks. I'm not going to say any names, but thanks everyone. You know if you're in the community, so I don't need to say your name. Without you, Wolfire wouldn't be anything either. That's true. So thanks to the community for making being in the community an awesome experience. And I hope we will be able to have many, many more years of awesome experiences in the Wolfire community. We have just been getting started with the memes. You know, we have the endo face thing going on right now, so keep on doing that. The memes are an important part of every community, guys. And of course, keep making the fan art so we can have more fan art on Overgrowth Weekly. So yeah, thanks again everyone for the amazing stuff, for an amazing experience these past 3 years. So I'm Silverfish from Overgrowth Weekly, and I'd like to thank you for watching this show.